We're going to build a custom Game Boy. I've got this glow-in-the-dark yellow shell. I've got these additional parts. We're going to see how we can put those together into something awesome. Welcome back to the shed. In this video I'm going to be briefly going through the build process for this Nintendo Game Boy. It's got a brand new shell, it's got a brand new set of buttons, it's got a glass screen surround matching the buttons, and it's got a yellow backlight to match the shell. I'll take you through the process and you can see what you think. This is the Game Boy I'm starting with. It's in good shape, it works pretty well. The shell I'm going to keep for another project, so that's not going to waste, but the parts inside are what are going to be used for this build. So all we'll do is remove the shell, take all the parts from the inside and transplant those into the new build. Here's all the parts I'm planning to use. Most of these are from Deadpan Robot in the UK. I'll put a link in the description for that. I've got a glow-in-the-dark translucent yellow shell. I've got a whole set of purple buttons with matching start and select button, and also a glass screen lens in the same matching purple. I've got one of their Pro lemon yellow backlight panels that's sent along with the resistor and the wires needed for installing those. I've got a bivert chip and some wire for installing that, and I've got some additional silicon parts should I need them. So that's all going to come together with the guts of the other Game Boy and create something pretty cool, I hope. Let's see how that goes. So the parts are all removed, the shell is all bagged up ready for another day. That project I'm really looking forward to. So what we've got here is our front half, which we're going to modify the actual screen with a backlight. That's going to come later, so I'll pop that to one side. First we're going to look at the back panel here. We're going to do a prosound mod to the headphone socket, so there'll be some rewiring there, and we'll attach the bivert chip onto the top section of the board, so I'll see you when that's all done. So the back half is now all done, prosound mod installed, removed a couple of wires from this side, added two more here, connected those to the volume potentiometer. I'll have that on maximum for when I'm testing. Bivert chips in place, removed a little bit of the PCB at the top and masked it all off so that there's no interference. Chips in place, all soldered to the relevant points, and hopefully we'll be able to test that now. So I just need to attach the front PCB. I can do that without having to put the whole Game Boy back together. Just push the ribbon in place there, carefully lay that in place. Now before I switch on to test, I'm going to plug this cable in that's connected to my larger speaker, and we'll see if that works. So hopefully the screen will be inverted, which it is, and we'll hear the sound from the speaker. So that's all working fine, and the display is currently back to front. Everything that would be white is black, everything that would be black is white, so that's correct. We'll then insert the backlit display, which we can also invert, so then that twice inverted is what we call a bivert, which will give us a clear, crisp picture. So we're ready to move on to the front half now, and I'll see you in a bit when we get onto that. Before I go near the front shell, before I start putting buttons in place, the first job is to put the backlit panel inside the LCD. I'll remove the reflective film from the back, I'll put this in place, and I'll add the wiring. Then we'll give it a test like we did before with the bivert chip, and if that's all okay, then we'll put the whole thing together. Right, a quick note about the prep stage for the backlight. I've removed the foil from the back of the LCD, so that's just the clear glass now. That's all been cleaned. Also, in this little area here where the wiring for the backlight's going to go, I've put a little bit of capped on tape just to cover any exposed solder points so I don't get any interference there. When I am preparing the backlight, I tend to keep it in the bag just in case there's any splashes from the solder. I don't want those going on the front light panel. And to prepare it, I've added the red wire to the positive. I've put the resistor horizontally next to the negative. That means it fits just neatly in this spot here, and then I'll feed those wires through. I've prepared this point here on the capacitor, these two parts there for the positive and the negative wire to go in place. So I'm going to wire all those up, get all the filters in place and see how that goes. And the backlight panel is installed. I've also cleaned up the speaker a bit, that had a few marks on it, so I'm going to switch on, test the backlight and test the speaker as well. So volumes on maximum on. Now we've got the display the right way around. Sound works. Everything seems pretty good. I've got my test cart in there at the moment, but what I'll need is the buttons to do that. So all I'm doing at the moment is inspecting the display, making sure there's no pressure points, making sure there's no little bits of fluff or dust stuck between the layers. All looks good, so we'll put that back together. Next job is to install this panel into this shell along with the buttons, and we'll see how that goes. Time for testing, and what I've got here is a reproduction Nintendo Game Boy test cart. So there's a number of different tests on there, so you can check the display, you can check the sound, and I've got it again plugged into my speaker just to check the prosound is all okay. I've been building it on this microfiber cloth because I don't want to scratch anything up, but I'll move that just out of the way now so that you can see what I've got a bit more clearly. It looks really nice with the buttons in place there. So in terms of my tests, just the auto test is fine. So it does a RAM test, and then it will go through different patterns for the display to check that that's all okay. No problems with any of the pixels there. Press each button, and as you press them, it'll register that the connection works, and it'll make a sound as well, so that's all okay. A and B for next test. Press B to scroll and check for a smooth scroll. Everything's moving fine there. Press A to go to the next test. Sweep down, sweep up, continuous tone, short beep, noise tone, and we're all good. So it's time to put the screen cover on and inspect the final product. So there we go, all finished. The buttons and the screen match really well. The actual LCD backlight and the colour of the shell are a really good match. I'm really pleased with the final look of it. We've got the little cover for the link port as well, matching the buttons. Everything looks great, everything feels good. I'm quite happy with that. So there you have it. Despite doing the recent IPS screen, I still really like these backlit panels. I think the original LCD staying in there is great for retaining the original features. I still think it looks really good, and it's nice to be able to use the different colours like we've done in this case to match the shell. So I still really like these builds. What do you think? Is there still life in them? Let me know.